I recently looked at this tree on the left for possible removal, and I wanted to make a video just talking about some of the rigging techniques that I may use if I was to do this job. One important consideration with trees that have a heavy lean like this is making sure you don't shock load the tree when you're rigging branches and taking the top. I mean, that's true with any tree, but particularly you need to pay extra attention with leaners. So how would you go about doing this? Well, there's one technique that I believe some people refer to it as fishpole. So basically what you would do is, as you're going up the spar, you would set multiple rigging points, starting from the bottom, working your way up to where your final rigging point would be towards the top. There's different ways you would do this. Some people might use slings, shackle, X-rings, whatever you use. But the point is to distribute the force and the load so that way you're not, putting all that load right on the top. And the reason why some people refer to it as the fishpole technique is because the spar is like a fishpole and your rigging points are like the loops that your fish line goes through. So it's, kind of looks like a fishpole. Another technique that could be utilized here is to rig off the tree on the right. You could just rig off that by itself. Another option would be set one rigging point in that other tree and then have a second rigging point in the tree on the left that's coming down. One other thing I want to mention is, let's say you couldn't get out far enough to be able to set your rigging and cut a piece that you would determine is small enough to be able to safely rig in a situation. You could also use a pole saw to piece out the very ends of the branch. Just kind of piece them out and let them free fall, assuming that in this situation you could free fall some smaller pieces. It's not like over a house or anything. You can also use a pole saw to set your rigging line and to make your cuts. I've done this where, I was limb walking out and I didn't think I could get any farther, so I would, throw my rigging line out with a carabiner on it and then use a pole saw to hook it, hook the blade onto the carabiner and then pull it back to me, set the rigging, and use the pole saw to cut it. So that way I was piecing out the ends of it, rigging it like I needed to until I could get to a point that then I could, just set my rigging right where I was and then make the rest of my cuts with the chainsaw. Now, it is a lot of work. It's tedious. It's awkward. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And lastly, I just want to emphasize that what one climber may be comfortable with, another may not. There's a variety of ways to go about doing something. And ultimately, what matters is that you're able to get it done safely with reasonable efficiency. But, there's no need to try to rush or, try to have a big ego. Just do your thing. And if you got to take some extra time to make yourself feel more comfortable or whatever, don't hesitate to do it. The ground people can wait. The boss can wait. Do what you got to do to be able to get your job done safely and have confidence in what you're doing. You should have a pretty good idea of what the outcome's going to be before you actually perform a task, such as how a branch is going to come down, how the rigging's going to go. And if there's any hesitation or you're not sure, sometimes you need to take a step back and just reevaluate what you're doing, make any changes if you're not sure. But you should have a decent level of confidence in what you're doing before you do it. So that's going to conclude the video. I appreciate you all watching. If you have any questions or anything, please feel free to comment. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next video. Stay safe out there.